Sound check test 1 2 1 2. Sound check test 1 2. Sound check test. Mic's on. Sound check. Test 1 2. Live here. Live here. Live over here. Live over here. Now we'll just make sure this is good, and we will get started. 1 2 1 2. Sound check test 1 2 1 2. Is my mic on? Yes. Sound check 1 2 1 2 test. Get our comment here. LinkedIn. We are live. And what the hell is this? All right. Somebody say he did it. We'll see. We're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to get into that in a minute. I see you over there on Instagram. Good morning, everybody over on TikTok. Let me silence the LinkedIn stream. You know that's working. We know Facebook is working. Rumble X are working. YouTube is working. Instagram is definitely working. And what's the topic, Debbie Lynn? Y'all should be able to see the topic. Y'all on TikTok, can y'all see the topic? Can you see the title of the live? There should be a title that y'all can see because it asks me to type in the title every time that I start. But if y'all can't see that, it's important for me to know. Can you all on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, can you see the title of the live that I type in before I start these lives? Because if y'all can't see it, and it's important for me to know that y'all can't see it. You can't see it? Oh, then why did they ask me to type it? So this live is about, we're going to talk about someone said not really. What does that mean? Either you can see it or you can't. What does not really mean? So can you all on TikTok see the title of the live stream when you click into these live streams? I'm just no, you cannot see it. I did not know this. So the topic here today is we're going to talk about the Jay-Z charge. And there's going to be this is a bigger picture conversation, not the charge or the allegation. I think we got to call it an allegation. I don't think it's actually a charge. An allegation against Jay-Z. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So we are live on all 7 of our platforms. I didn't know y'all couldn't see the title, but anyway, glad y'all come in anyway, just to give me a chance to see what I'm going to talk about. So that's what we're discussing is, if y'all don't know the story, Jay-Z, y'all know who Jay-Z is, right? Everybody familiar with Jay-Z? All right. If you don't know Jay-Z, you know Beyonce, right? So he's her husband, that guy. All right. So he's a rapper, a well-known rapper, been around for 30 years. So his fan base may be a little bit older group. And anyway, a couple days ago, it came out in the news that some lawyer has basically, why does this keep popping up? So any of you use a MacBook and y'all see this password thing keep popping up over and over again and put your password in. I don't know why this keeps popping up on the MacBook Air ever since they changed the operating system. But anyway, this guy has come out with this allegation that allegedly Jay-Z was involved in some type of assault. This is like 25 years ago. And it was connected to Puff Daddy, which many of y'all call Diddy. I call him Puff Daddy because when I found out about him back in the 90s, he called himself Puff Daddy. Y'all call him Diddy. And Jay-Z and Diddy have worked together, done music together, have shown themselves to be friends, even up to this day. Haven't seen them talking to each other recently, at least not publicly. I don't follow these people that closely, but we know that they had worked together. They've collaborated on music. You know, they have been friends. They're both from New York, et cetera, et cetera. Both, I believe, are located in Southern California to this day. And this claim by this lawyer, and it's not even a charge because they are allegedly filing some form of civil suit, maybe somewhat. And what the lawyer is saying, this guy named Tony Busby, well-known guy who seems to have found his niche in going after celebrities, and that works because there's a lot of money to be made in doing so. We'll talk about that. What he put out, the statement that he put out, he's claiming that this girl, when she was underage, I believe the age of 13, claimed that she was assaulted by both Puff Daddy and Jay-Z, basically at the same time after some event. Now, I've seen people go through this with a fine-tooth comb and say, well, based on the allegations and the original claim, then there was another claim, then they updated the claim. and the suits and all of that stuff. And another thing, I'll get to that, all those details in a second, or some of the details in a second, keeping it high level enough that y'all can follow, was that Jay-Z was basically filing a counterclaim against this lawyer because Jay-Z is basically saying that this guy's trying to besmirch his name and make him look bad by even putting this out there in the first place. And that this has been going on in the background for months, that it just finally became public. That it was already going on. This is not a new thing that just popped up that day. Some of you probably saw or heard about Jay-Z's statement that I'm going to get to also in a second. And that's what we're going to discuss here today. And again, I want to get to a bigger picture than just this charge itself, because actually, or allegation, I keep saying charge, but it really is an allegation. I want to get to a bigger picture than that because we have no idea if this actually happened or not. And again, I'm going to get to that. So now that I gave you a preview, let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre. That's D-R-E, Dre Baldwin. And I run this company called Work on Your Game. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete. I'm the author of 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. And my company, Work on Your Game, we work with entrepreneurs, salespeople, sales teams, businesses in general about taking your performance to as high as possible level. If I had to keep it really, really simple, that's what we do. And what I do, if I had to go a little bit more granular, is we extract the stuff that helps athletes reach the top of the sports game, because my background is in sports. And I've extracted that stuff through a system that I've created, the Work on Your Game system, to take the same stuff that helps athletes and apply it to business people and professionals and entrepreneurs. And if you want to work more with me or learn more about what I do, first thing you should do is just listen to me talk here today. Because if you don't like my communication style, you don't like the way that I articulate things, you should not come work with me. But if you do like my style and you do like the way that I talk about things, then you might want to take that next step. Just click the link in my bio. It takes you to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can learn more about me. You can see all of our receipts that some of you call social proof. We got plenty of them. I got 20 years of it. And then if you wish, you can take your next step. So with all that out the way, let's talk about this Jay-Z thing. So first of all, first point that we had to get on the table that comes with any type of charge is going to involve court, whether we're talking civil court or criminal court. So just yesterday, we talked about the Daniel Penny thing with Jordan Neely. That was criminal court. I believe Daniel Penny might end up in civil court as well over that with, Jordan Neely's scumbag father, piece of shit father who was not around his whole life, and now he's dead. Now he wants to get money out of it. He may end up in civil court on that, similar to O.J. Simpson. O.J. went to criminal court, got found not guilty with Johnny Cochran and all of that. Y'all know about that. But he went to civil court. He had to go to civil court after that, and he lost his civil court case, and he was required to pay money. And this happens sometimes that there's a criminal and there's a civil charge. So with this Jay-Z situation, this allegation, all that we know so far is that there may be a civil case. There is no criminal charge. Jay-Z put in his statement, and I'm going to talk about Jay-Z's statement in a moment, that he said, well, if you really believe that I did this, Mr. Lawyer, why don't you file a criminal charge as well as a civil charge? Because they filed it in the state of New York. I did look that up. And in the state of New York, the statute of limitations is pretty wide when it comes to this type of charge. And in New York, they actually added some loopholes into the legal system in New York over the last couple of years to where you could basically, what used to be an expiration of the statute of limitations when it came to this kind of stuff, it got expanded. One of the main reasons that they did that because they were trying to go after Donald Trump. But at the same time they opened it to go after Trump, they went after a bunch of other people. So any of you who follows entertainment, I guess we could say, or celebrity news, you probably saw maybe about a year and a half ago, did any of you notice this, that a whole bunch of people were filing civil lawsuits against entertainers and celebrities, specifically in the state of New York, because they widened the statute of limitations. So let's just say, and I'm just using this as an example, that the statute of limitations is you can only file a civil suit within 5 years of it happening. They expanded it, so now it's 20 years. So now anybody who was mad about something that happened 15 years ago, now you're in the window where you can go and file a suit. And lawsuits are all about making money, by the way. You can't send someone to jail off a lawsuit. You can send someone to jail off a criminal case, but you only make money off of a lawsuit. So this guy, Tony Busby, some of the things that people who are not fans of his or conversely are big fans of Jay-Z, and Jay-Z has a lot of fans. I am a Jay-Z fan myself, but I can talk about him objectively because I'm a fan, not a fanatic, and there's two different things. And these people are saying, well, this guy's just going after him for money. Well, maybe he is, but the United States of America's legal system is designed that this is exactly what you're supposed to do. This is what you can do if you believe you've been wronged and you can prove it. If you can prove it in court, you can make money or get paid based on that's what the United States system has decided is proper restitution if you believe something wrong was done to you, even if we can't prove it in criminal court. Again, think O.J. Simpson. We couldn't prove it in criminal court that you did it, but the family of O.J.'s ex, they took him and her guy, they took him to civil court and they won. So you may not be able to prove it in criminal court, but you can prove it in civil court and at least get some money for your troubles. And it's funny because Jay-Z has those songs in his history where he talks about this, where how do you equate your pain? Now, would your pain go away if I just paid your criminal charge, or not criminal charge, civil charge? So anyway, let's get into this. First of all, let me be clear, very, very clear, just speaking completely objectively, is that this entire thing may be complete nonsense. We must put that on the table because in the United States of America, the law of the land is you are innocent until proven guilty. Until you are proven in the court of law, criminal court, guilty of a crime, you are innocent of that crime. So as of today, as of this very moment, regardless of what comes out, regardless of what anybody says or posts on social media, Jay-Z is innocent of all allegations until or unless it is proven in criminal court, not civil court, criminal court. If you go to a civil court and lose, that does not prove that you did the thing. All right, this is what they did with Donald Trump. He got taken to civil court over that assault allegation with that woman that woman seemed a little loopy, still does. He lost in civil court, which means he has to pay money. That does not prove criminally that he actually did the thing. And if someone loses a civil case, that does not mean that they are guilty of doing the thing, even if they lose in civil court and they have to pay the money. If they really did a crime, it must be proven in criminal court. Everybody heard that. Okay. That applies to the people that you like. It applies to the people that you don't like. So I'm sure there's some people listening to this who hate Donald Trump, but you love Jay-Z. All right. It applies the same way to both of them. Okay. So Donald Trump was not proven in criminal court to have committed an assault. That means he is not guilty of assault. And Jay-Z has not even been taken to court based on assault. That means he has not committed assault until or unless it happens in criminal court. All right. I want to make sure everybody heard that. That's why I said it more than once. All right. It must be proven. It is innocent until proven guilty. And to prove someone guilty in the court of law in the United States of America, criminal court, you must prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Ironically, Jay-Z's first album, for those of you who are not Jay-Z fans, his first album is literally called Reasonable Doubt. So in order to prove Jay-Z did this, they will have to take him to criminal court, which is what he said in his statement. Now we're going to get to Jay-Z's statement in a moment. So, all right, everybody heard everything that I said there. All right, is that on the record? Anybody unclear? Okay, just want to make sure that's on the record, just in case anybody tries to take me out of context later on. And I know someone's going to come in while I'm talking who didn't hear what I just said, and I'm going to have to say it again. So don't get mad when I repeat myself, but I will say that again today. So we know that lawyers, they understand the game. And I know some people who work in the legal space. I know some people who have been through lawsuits, whether filing a lawsuit against somebody else to get money or having a lawsuit filed against them when someone's trying to get money out of them. And the lawyers that they work with, I know that lawyers will put out a statement publicly because what it does is it draws attention to the situation. It makes the person who's being accused look bad, in this case, Jay-Z. And often this is used as a pressure tactic in order to get the person who's accused or alleged to settle out of court. And anytime you hear the phrase settle out of court, what that means is I'm going to sue you. Let's say I decide to sue. What company could I sue? Let's say I want to sue Instagram. Or I want to sue Instagram for $100 million. And I put a press release out letting everybody know that I sued Instagram for $100 million. Because you see, I could sue Instagram and y'all don't know about it. It doesn't have to be news. I could just file it in court. Instagram gets notified that I filed it. They know about it. I know about it. No one else has to know that I filed that. Nobody else has to know that this even happened. But when a celebrity is being charged in a civil case, often what happens is the lawyers will go to the press and they'll put out a press release and make sure everybody knows about it, because their whole point is to, first of all, make that person look bad because they believe they have a legitimate charge. Hopefully they believe it's legitimate. And they want to put pressure on the celebrity or the company or whoever it is, the local business, whatever. They want to put pressure on you to settle the case, because here's what happens. If you actually go through with a civil lawsuit or even a criminal case, when you go through with these things, what happens is all the facts of the situation have to be put on the table. This is called discovery. So if I file a suit against you, a lawsuit against you, then my lawyer and your lawyer get to talk to each other. And what we do is we get all the facts of the situation. Everything is laid out on the table, all the documentation, all the checks, all the communication, all the emails, all the text messages. And if you think about that, all of you think about this. If all your bank accounts, all your cash checks, all your canceled checks, all your text messages, all your emails, all your communication, every phone call you made, every phone call you received, all your DMs on social media, if all of that had to get put on the table in the public sphere because you're in the middle of a lawsuit or in the middle of a criminal case, you might not want all that stuff to be public knowledge. How many of you would agree? You don't have to say it out loud. All right. You might not want all your business in the street. And see, when you get into the middle of a court case, what happens, again, this is called discovery, and I'm speaking on a very high level here, that this is all the information that has to be put on the table. So my lawyer has to give all my information to the other lawyer, even though we're going against each other. You have to do this. You're not allowed to withhold information. So all of this will have to come out in order for the judge and or the jury to see, okay, now we got all the facts. Now let's interpret these facts and figure out what actually happened, who's right, who's wrong, who's innocent, who's guilty. This is the way that it works when court cases happen. And this is the reason why many times a celebrity or a company, one of the reasons why when they are hit with a lawsuit, they often decide to settle out of court. And settle out of court just means that if I sue you for $100 million and we settle out of court, maybe we'll agree that, all right, we'll drop the lawsuit, but you're going to pay me $50 million. So settlement just means I'm going to pay you something to shut the hell up, go away, never talk about this again. I'm going to give you some money, not all that you asked for, some of it. And you're going to sign non-disclosure agreements. So you can never talk about it. You can't tell people how much you settled for, and the whole situation goes away. And you can't sue me again on for the same reason. That's what settle out of court means. So anytime you hear a settlement out of court, that's what happens. And I said this a couple of days ago, but I got to say it again because some of you have short memories and some of you weren't listening and some of you weren't here a couple of days ago. But just because someone settles out of court does not mean that they're guilty. That does not mean that. If someone sues me for $1 million and I settle out of court with them for $500,000, that doesn't mean that I'm guilty of whatever they sued me for. It just means I just want them to go away, because the amount of money that I would have to pay my lawyers to fight the case, even if I end up winning, I'm still losing money. Because let's say I had to spend $300,000 on my lawyers just to fight the case. Now I got to go back and forth to the courthouse to appear in court. I got to go through all of this. It takes all this time. And now the opportunity cost is I can't focus on other things and put my resources toward other things. This is not even worth it for me. I'm going to just pay you off to shut the hell up and go away. So any of you who's ever heard of a celebrity, again, even somebody you don't like, or a company, even one that you don't like, settling out of court because of a court case, that does not mean that they are guilty of anything. So this is one of the things that people say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump had a bunch of, because people say, well, Trump's racist. I say, well, why is he racist? They say, well, he had a bunch of lawsuits for discrimination against people of color moving into his buildings. And I say, well, just because someone sued you, this is my point. Just because you got sued doesn't mean you're guilty of anything. And just because you settled the lawsuit by paying somebody does not mean that you're guilty. Doesn't mean that you're innocent, but it also doesn't mean that you're guilty. And again, the only way you can prove someone's guilty of a crime is they have to go to criminal court, not civil court. Civil court does not prove anything. All it proves is, and also there's another thing about civil court. In criminal court in the United States of America, the burden of proof is on the accuser. So when O.J. Simpson went to court for a double homicide, the burden of proof was on the state of California. They had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. And if they failed to do that, he would be innocent. They had the burden of proof was all the way up here. So if 100% guaranteed is up here, they had to prove they got to be at 95%. Like you have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and you have to get a jury to believe. Everybody in the jury has to agree that he's guilty. And if everybody does not agree that he's guilty, and you don't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, then he's innocent. That's the law of the land, innocent until proven guilty. That's what it means. However, in civil court, here's the difference between criminal court and civil court. I already told you one difference, which is that you go to jail only based on losing in criminal court. You can't go to jail from losing in civil court. The other thing is the burden of proof is much, much lower in civil court than it is in criminal court. What that means is if you have a 95% burden of proof in criminal court, in civil court is only 50%. And it's not 50%. What I'm saying is just lower. I'm just using the numbers to keep it simple. Meaning in civil court, the burden of proof is more likely than not. That's what it means. More likely than not, which means let's just say 51% to 49%. If you get that in criminal court, you lose. If you're the prosecutor and you only get people to believe 51% to 49% that OJ did it, OJ's innocent, because you didn't get the 95% that you need. And again, I'm making these numbers up to keep it simple. In civil court, if you get 51% to 49%, you win. So that's how you can win a criminal case and lose a civil case. So, and a lot of people don't understand this. So that's why I'm giving this background. I know some of you understand it, but many people don't. So I had to give this background so all of you understand. This Jay-Z situation, this allegation is only talking civil. He said, if you really think I did it, this is Jay-Z. He said, if you really think I did it, take me to criminal court so you can prove it. Because in criminal court, you got to prove it. In civil court, you don't really have to prove it. And this is another thing about civil court. And this is why all of you need to be very careful when you hear about lawsuits. Again, especially against somebody who you don't like. All right, lawsuit against Donald Trump. You don't like Donald Trump. Lawsuit against a healthcare company. You don't like the healthcare company. Lawsuit against some local business that you hate. You hate the local business or a person. Just because someone gets a suit filed against them doesn't prove anything. This drew a lot of attention because Jay-Z's name is in it. And this lawyer, his name is Tony Busby. I believe he's based in Texas. He might not be in Texas, but I don't know why I'm connecting it to Texas. But anyway, this guy made sure the news knew about this lawsuit. And he knows that putting Jay-Z's name in it and Puff Daddy's name in it, again, y'all call him Diddy, I call him Puff Daddy, that putting their name in it is going to get a whole lot of attention, which it did, because look at us. We're right here talking about it and y'all are listening because it draws a whole lot of attention. He didn't have to let anybody know about this. They could have did this quietly. He did it on purpose. Now, do I believe this could have I believe that the allegation has legs simply because right now Puff Daddy is incarcerated. Puff Daddy's incarcerated right now. His charge is of the assault nature. All right. That's what his charge is. His charge is not, I know y'all probably saw the video of him beating up his girlfriend a few years ago. That's not what he's charged with. His charge is not that. His charge is a term that I can't say directly based on the apps that I'm streaming on right now, but it's assault. All right. That's his charge. It's an impropriety. Let's just call it that. An impropriety with females and possibly underage females. That's what his actual charge is. And now Diddy has a real criminal charge against him. The reason he's incarcerated right now is because he's being held before he goes to trial on a criminal charge. Now, he'll probably get some civil cases as well. Puff Daddy's had plenty of civil lawsuits filed against him for years. Even that woman, his girlfriend who he beat up in the hotel a few years ago. Y'all saw that video of him beating up his girlfriend in the hotel. Now, he got a lawsuit filed against him by that girl. He dated that girl for like 10 years. As soon as they broke up, she filed a lawsuit against him. But actually, as soon as they broke up, I saw it announced that they had broken up. And I don't follow any celebrities on social media, none of this. I just hear this stuff because it gets talked about. He broke up with the girl after they were together for 10 years. Then it seemed like it was like 3-6 months later, not that much. She was already married to another guy and she was having a kid, like that fast. Anyway, she files a lawsuit against Puff Daddy. He immediately settles the lawsuit. I believe the lawsuit was asking for, again, this is civil court. I believe the lawsuit was asking for $30 million. Somebody can fact check me on that number. I believe it was $30 million that he was being sued for. And he settled out of court like within 24 hours. And one of the reasons why I believe, this is just my theory, I believe Puff Daddy settled out of court with that case is because, number one, I believe, this is my theory, I believe that he knew the stuff that was being alleged against him, that he had done a good amount of it, that she wasn't lying. And again, this doesn't mean this happens every time someone settles. I'm just saying with this particular situation, I believe that he knew he had done a lot of the stuff in that lawsuit. And I believe that he didn't want that case to go to court because if it did, all the details would have been public and all of that would have made him look really bad. And I don't think he wanted that. And I think he just wanted it to go away. He said, just pay her off and let her go. And the quicker he paid her off, the less of a story it is. And that story came and went really quickly because he got rid of it pretty quickly. The challenge with that is, and again, this is just my theory, that the fact that that lawsuit even came out, because I believe, let me back up. I believe that his ex-girlfriend went to him and said, yo, you did all these wrong things to me. I want you to just write me a check to be restitution for all the wrong things that you did. And I'll move on and you'll move on. I believe, my theory, that he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So then she said, okay, well, I'm going to call my lawyer and I'm going to file a lawsuit. So she filed a lawsuit because he wouldn't just pay her off and it would have been over. Nobody would have knew about it. She filed the lawsuit. Then he said, damn, she's serious. Okay, now I got to pay her off. And now the details of that lawsuit, because y'all can find the stuff online. Y'all can read all the details of that Puff Daddy lawsuit that got filed against him. The details of that lawsuit, I believe, tipped off the authorities. And they started sniffing around what Puff Daddy was really about and what he was really doing. I think that lawsuit tipped off the authorities who ended up now having enough ammunition based on what was in that lawsuit to start looking deeper into him. And I believe that led to the criminal charge that he got. Again, just my theory. All right, so don't take this to say this is factually what happened, because the authorities don't have to tell you how they got their information. But the internet has made it very hard to it's very hard to commit crimes these days with the internet. So any of you thinking about going into a life of crime, I would suggest you should have been born 30 years ago when it would have made sense, or you should have been the age that you are now 30 years ago. You should have just been born 30 years earlier, because then it would have made sense. But nowadays, with all the surveillance and phones and internet and everything is recorded digitally, this is not the time to get into a world of a life of crime. So any of you thinking about getting into crime, I would suggest you don't do it. Try to figure out a way, find out a way to do things legally and become successful above the board, and keeping your nose clean, keeping your hands clean, because these days, everything you do is being recorded and you can't lie about it. So just with that all out of the way, let's move on. Jay-Z made a statement. Okay. Jay-Z made a statement. Now, I heard that Jay-Z actually did this statement himself. And this is very interesting to me, because after the lawyer put out this allegation, and he put it out there in order, the whole point was to make Jay-Z look bad. That's why he did it. Because he could have, again, you can file a lawsuit quietly, nobody knows. He did this to make Jay-Z look bad. And Jay-Z, understandably, didn't like the fact that this guy was trying to make him look bad. So he responded. And he didn't respond. He reacted, which was surprising to me, because Jay-Z, if you're a hip hop fan, and Jay-Z is probably, I believe, the best rapper. I'm not saying he's my favorite rapper. He's the best rapper. Jay-Z has had a reputation for as long as he's been rapping that he really didn't respond to anything. Like other rappers would diss him. He wouldn't say anything. Or if he did say something, it would be way later. And his response would never be as strong as the initial attack. So some rapper might diss Jay-Z and make a whole song dissing Jay-Z, and Jay-Z might diss them back with like 2 lines in a song that he put out like a year later. Jay-Z's always been a person who, when someone comes at him, his response is always way down here compared to their energy. His energy's down here, but because he's such a good rapper and he's so good with his words, he could do that, and still it could be the hit back in the situation. He was never reactive to anything that another rapper did during his whole rap career. So it was very eyebrow raising to me when he came out with this statement that was very verbose. He said a lot, and Jay-Z doesn't tend to talk that much, at least not in the rap space, in the public sphere. And even in I guess I've been listening to Jay-Z for as long as he's been around. Why is he reacting to this? Why did he respond to this so strongly and so quickly? It was surprising to me. I've never heard him speak verbally in the way that he stated in this statement that he put out. If y'all haven't seen the statement Jay-Z put out, you can find it on social media. He put it out publicly because he wanted everybody to see it. It's under the header of his company, which is called Rock Nation. One of the things that he said, and actually before I get to that, is that Jay-Z seemed to be coming out of character in this response, which is, again, surprising to me. And I don't know, some people could take that to mean a whole lot of different things. He seemed to just be coming out of character in his reaction, because again, I never saw him react to any rapper this way, but he reacted to this random lawyer this way. But who knows? Maybe it's because of the nature of the allegation. Maybe that has something to do with it. Whereas he doesn't really get that excited about a rapper dissing him, but he gets more excited about having his character attacked. I can understand that. At the same time, it's still surprising to me. So one of the things that he said was a quote. I'm pulling a quote from the statement. The statement's too long for me to read the whole thing. But he said, "I mourn the loss of innocence." Have all y'all seen the statement? Has any of you not seen the statement? If y'all want me to read the statement, I can read the statement. Has all of y'all actually seen the statement? Because I can find it and read it if y'all haven't seen it. It's a little bit long, but I can read it if y'all haven't seen it. But this statement was, again, okay, all y'all saw the statement. All right, I'm not going to read the statement. All right. So someone said, please read the statement. All right, let me see if I can find the statement. All right, I'm going to read the statement. I'm going to read pretty quickly, so I need y'all to listen quick so I can read it. Okay, let me read it real quick. All right, this is Jay-Z's statement from after the allegation came out from the lawyer. I know some of y'all have already read it, but let me just bear with me so I can read pretty fast. My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a quote-unquote lawyer named Tony Busby. And this is Jay-Z talking. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very, that's all capital letters, public fashion. So no, I will not give you, all caps, one red penny, double exclamation points. Again, I never heard Jay-Z talk like this. These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Again, more exclamation points. I just explained to y'all criminal versus civil. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? Question mark. These alleged victims deserve real justice if that were the case. This lawyer, who I've done a bit of research on, seems to have a pattern of these type of theatrics. Another exclamation point. Again, have you ever heard Jay-Z talk? I never heard Jay-Z talk like this. I have no idea how you have come to be such a deplorable human, Mr. Busby, but I promise you that I have seen your kind many times over. I'm more than prepared to deal with your type. You claim to be a Marine? Question mark, exclamation point. Because Tony Busby used to be in the Marines. Marines are known for their valor. You have neither honor nor dignity. My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. We're going to come back to that phrase in a second. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirits. My heart and support goes out to the true victims in the world who have to watch how their life story is dressed in costume for profitability by this ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. He didn't laugh, but I'm laughing. All right, last paragraph. You have made a terrible error in judgment by thinking that all quote unquote celebrities are the same. I'm not from your world. I'm a young man who made it out of the project of Brooklyn. We don't play these types of games. We have very strict codes and honor. We protect children. You seem to exploit people for personal gain. Only your network of conspiracy theorists, fake physics, I think that's a typo, will believe the idiotic claims you have levied against me that, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. Period. Close quote. All right. So that's the entire Jay-Z statement. So a couple of things about this statement. First of all, why did Jay-Z say he's a young man who made it a project in Brooklyn? Jay-Z is over the age of 50. Now, if you're over the age of 50, you can't call yourself a young man. All right. When I'm over the age of 50, I'm not going to call myself a young man. I don't call myself a young man now. I'm a grown man. But why is he calling himself a young man? I don't know why he said that. Anyway, that's the simplest one to get to. Second, he said, I'm mourning the loss of innocence regarding his children. So Jay-Z, I believe, has 3 children. One of them I've seen, his daughter, who is, I think, preteen. So she was the first kid. And then I believe he had twins after that. I don't even know what those kids look like. And then he says, next thing he said, another quote, unfair to have to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. And then the last thing he said was, we have very strict codes of honor. Okay. Those 3 things, three quotes that I pulled from Jay-Z. All right. Now, again, I told you I'm a Jay-Z fan. I think Jay-Z is the best rapper. We got to hold Jay-Z accountable for these comments. First of all, what was Jay-Z's life before he started rapping? Does anybody know? What did Jay-Z do before he became a rapper? Before he was a famous rapper, even if your history of Jay-Z doesn't go back to the mid 90s like mine, if you listen to his music, what was Jay-Z doing before he became a rapper? If you listen to his music, you hear him. He tells you every song he puts out tells you what he was doing before he was a rapper. All right. Yes. So people saying it. Hustler, street pharmacy in the streets. Jay-Z was a drug dealer. He's been very open about the fact that he was a drug dealer. And according to what Jay-Z says, he was a very successful drug dealer. Now, when I say drug dealer, I'm not talking about he was selling pharmaceuticals for one of these companies you see on TV. Jay-Z was selling illicit drugs in the streets. In other words, committing crime that he just didn't get caught for, and he didn't lose his life in the process. And Jay-Z's entire brand was built around this concept. I was a hustler in the streets. I was successful hustling in the streets. Now I'm going to make music about the fact that I was hustling in the streets. I'm going to talk about the good side of it, the bad side of it. And then he built himself into a businessman in the rap world and entertainment and a business mogul and a billionaire and all these things that Jay-Z has claimed that he is. Now, all of that being said, again, telling you again, I'm a fan of Jay-Z. I believe he's the best rapper. I've been listening to rap music my entire life. My father is into music. Rap music is in my veins. Like sometimes I think of lyrics from rap songs I haven't listened to in years because I listened to it for so long. I'm a big fan of rap music. At the same time, we can hold gangster rap accountable for what it is. The stuff that gangster rappers, and Jay-Z would be considered a gangster rapper. Gangster rap is just rappers rapping about things that you would not want your kids or your sons or your husbands to go out and actually try to do. You want them entertained by the music, but do not go and try to live the music out. Here's the challenge with gangster rap. If a young man, and this is usually men, if a young man was to go out and live their life the way that gangster rappers rap about having lived or claimed to have lived, that young man is going to end up dead or incarcerated. All right. Nobody can dispute this point. If you live the way that your favorite gangster rapper raps, you will end up dead or incarcerated. Period. There's no flip side to it with the gangster rappers. I'm not talking about the friendly, fun rappers or the Christian rappers or anything like that. The gangster rappers, you're going to end up dead or incarcerated. Jay-Z is part of that. If you did what Jay-Z rapped about, you would likely get incarcerated, because most people who deal the amount of drugs that Jay-Z claimed to have dealt get caught, or they get killed by fellow rival drug dealers. One of the two happens to most gangster rappers who said that they dealt drugs. If you live the life that 50 Cent, who is, I would say 50 Cent to this day is my favorite rapper. He doesn't even put music out, but he's my favorite rapper. If you live how 50 Cent lived, you probably would not live to make an album rapping about it. If you got shot 9 times like 50 Cent claims that he did, you wouldn't live to tell the story. Most people get shot 1 time, die. He got shot 9 times and lived. Most people don't make it out of those situations. I'm bringing all this up to say that for a gangster rapper, Jay-Z, to put out a statement and say that I mourn the loss of innocence of children, if his life is real. And this is the other thing about gangster rappers, as opposed to, let's say, a country music singer or an R&B singer or whatever other genre of music you all listen to. Gangster rappers insist that the stuff that they tell you in their songs really happened. Is that true? They insist that this is real. Like, everything I'm saying is real. This is the way that I really live. I'm a real N-word. You hear rappers say that all the time. Everything I'm telling you is true story, all fact. Jay-Z says it all the time. This is all facts. This is 100% facts. I got the realest stories. I'm telling you the truth about my life. This is the way that I was really living. And at the same time, we got to say that they glorify it. We can't say that they're not. They glorify it. They glorify that I lived this crazy life on the streets, doing things that are illegal. And the fact that I made it out and didn't end up incarcerated despite my illegal lifestyle. Look at me. All right, that's Jay-Z. That's 50 Cent. That's all your favorite gangster rappers. They all do it. They all do it. Even the ones who aren't gangster. You take somebody like Drake. What does he rap about? Often in his songs, he talks about, well, I wasn't doing the gangster street illegal stuff, but all my friends were doing it. And he says that as a point of credibility. He says it as a way to give himself credibility. Well, I'm not a gangster. I'm not a street guy, but all the people around me are gangsters and street guys. So if I need some gangster or street stuff done, one of these guys who's with me, they're going to do it. And they say this as a talking point to show you that they're credible because they're somehow connected to something illegal. Every gangster rapper does this, even rappers who you don't consider gangster, again, like Drake. They do this just to make sure you understand, hey, don't think that I'm just some soft guy because look at all this illegal stuff around me. This is gangster rap. And that's a bigger conversation that we're not going to go too deep into here today. Maybe we will, not my intention. But for Jay-Z to say, I'm mourning the loss of innocence of children when you claim you were the biggest drug dealer in the world. Well, where are those drugs going? Those drugs are going to parents who might end up having crack babies because they took the drugs that you sold to them. Now, I'm not saying that Jay-Z is necessarily being the type of person that I am, is that even if you were to sell me, let's say I was a drug addict, and I bought some drugs and I ended up messing up my family based on the drugs that you sold to me. I can't blame you for selling me the drugs because I'm the one who decided to buy them and take the drugs. At the same time, Jay-Z, you are glorifying the fact that you dealt the drugs. You were dealing them to your own community. How many families got destroyed based on those drugs that you sold? This is all assuming that Jay-Z's backstory is the truth. Because do we actually know if he was dealing drugs? We don't know. But let's assume that he was telling the truth. Assume that he's telling the truth. How can you say you mourn the loss of innocence regarding children when you dealt drugs to people who had kids? How can you do that? When you were in anywhere he was, regardless of who he was selling it to, you are a criminal doing illegal activity in somebody's neighborhood. They got to live there. They got to go to work. They got to go to school every day. Here you are, you and your drug dealing friends doing criminal activity in somebody's community, but you mourn the loss of innocence of children, even though you were dealing drugs. How can you say that with a straight face? That doesn't make any sense. And what's interesting is that in our community, specifically the Black community, This kind of conversation, nothing I'm saying here is illogical. Nothing I'm saying here doesn't make sense. But a lot of black people won't say this stuff out loud, and they won't agree with it out loud because of their fandom of the rapper. And again, I'm a fan of Jay-Z. When I went through my replay, I was on Apple Music, right? Any of you who uses Apple Music, and they do this replay thing. So they give you the replay of the music that you listen to in the year. My top artist for the year. Look at this. My top artist for the year 2024. Jay-Z is number one. I listened to Jay-Z 4,205 minutes. Number 2 was Drake. Number 3 was Nas. Number 4 was Rick Ross. And number 5 was Future. All right. So I listen to Jay-Z more than I listen to anybody else, according to Apple Music. I can say that while still saying he doesn't have a leg to stand on trying to claim integrity and honor when, again, according to his story that he has insisted for decades that his story is real, that you're talking about integrity and honor and the loss of innocence of children when you were dealing drugs. You were a criminal for all these years, and then you made a career telling people how much of a criminal you were. And he says, it's unfair. This is another quote from his statement. It's unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit. Are you joking, Jay-Z? You dealt drugs. All right, what does that do? Does that destroy families and human spirit? I think so. So how is he saying this? And he said, I made it out of the projects of Brooklyn. Well, how'd you make it out? Again, it's not like he was working a 9 to 5. He made it out dealing drugs, and then he told you about it, made it sound good, put it behind some music, and we bought it. And again, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying this as I'm standing on some moral high ground here. I'm a Jay-Z fan. I just showed you. I listen to Jay-Z more than I listen to anybody. All right, I'm a Jay-Z fan. I like the music. The difference between me and many young men who were incorrectly influenced by Jay-Z is that I grew up with 2 parents at home. And because I had 2 parents at home, I had enough parental influence to understand and to separate the message and the entertainment of the music from somebody suggesting that I actually go do it. I never listened to a gangster rapper and thought that I should go live the way that the gangster rapper was rapping. Because again, I had the right influences at home that I was not influenced to go and actually try to live like that. But I could listen to the music and appreciate like the melodies and the way a rapper puts words together and like the songs without thinking that I need to go live it. But some young man who doesn't have the proper guidance at home, well, first of all, they might already be doing illegal stuff because they don't have any guidance at home. Secondly, they will hear it and think, well, maybe I should go do it because look at Jay-Z. I mean, it's not like Jay-Z's some bum, right? Jay-Z is, I think for the most part, we would all agree that Jay-Z fits the description of what most people would call successful. Now, we all have different definitions of the word successful, but I think most people would agree that Jay-Z is a successful individual. Why? Because he is well known for his craft. He seems to have a nice family, at least from the outside looking in. He is publicly noted for how much money he has made and publicly noted for his business and career successes. He's successful in music. We do know that. He is publicly noted for having made a certain amount of money. We're going to get to that in a moment. And Jay-Z is looked at as successful. So a young man who doesn't have a father at home and whose mother can't really teach him how to be a man, he turns on some Jay-Z music like I did. And here's this guy saying what he's saying. And at the same time, he's successful. Well, why not? Why not try that? I mean, I don't see any other successful men around me. My dad ain't here. Maybe I should try doing what Jay-Z did. And here's the thing. This is not a hypothetical. All right. What I'm saying to you here is not theoretical because a lot of young men did exactly this. There are a lot of young men who grew up listening to gangster rap. We got to go. Gangster rap came out. I think the first gangster rap was probably NWA. I think they were the first official gangster rap. And then everybody else followed them. So let's just go back to about 1990. So we're looking at about, 35 years. So let's say about 35 years. This is about when it started. There are a whole bunch of young men who didn't have the right guidance at home, strong parental influences that would overpower the message of the music. That's what I mean when I say proper guidance. And when you have adults around you whose their message to you overpowers the message of the music. Doesn't mean you don't listen to the music. I listen to it. I just didn't allow the message of the music to overpower my understanding that I was getting from stronger influences who I had around me. So these young men listen to it and they go and say, okay, well, these guys are successful. These guys are on TV. They're on the cover of the magazines. These guys seem to be making money because they're letting us know that they make money. They got cars. They got girls. They got everybody's paying attention to them. Okay, I want that. I want cars. I want girls. I want people paying attention to me. I want to have a whole bunch of money. I want to be on TV. I want to be on the cover of the magazine. Well, let me go do what they do. And most of those young men didn't make it out to tell the story of what they did. They didn't become famous rappers. They became dead bodies or they became criminals. I mean, adjudicated criminals, meaning, so Jay-Z was a criminal, but he didn't get caught. All right, so he didn't go to court. He didn't have to go to court and get found guilty for being a criminal. Others became criminals, like in fact, meaning they got caught, went to court, got found guilty, and went to jail. And some of them are still in jail to this day, and the rest of them are dead. And Jay-Z is part of this. We can't say that this is just on the people who did it. Jay-Z promoted this stuff. He knew what he was rapping about. I'm not a music maker, but same way that I get on these live streams, I can talk about whatever I want. Like, nobody's telling me what to talk about when I do these lives. I can say whatever I want to say. When Jay-Z gets in a booth and makes music, he can say whatever he wants to say. He decided to rap about that stuff, and it influenced a whole bunch of people. So for him to stand here on some moral high ground simply because he's talking to this lawyer who he thinks is a lowlife, well, dude, you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to preaching righteousness. He doesn't have it. And again, I say this as a fan. So a fan of rap music and a fan of Jay-Z. So as I already explained to you all, I already told you about the civil case thing. I explained the civil case versus the criminal case. We don't need to get into that. Let's get into the higher level discussion that I want to have here. I talked about a lot here, but here's the higher level discussion. And this is specifically referring to in the Black community, because I've seen a lot of this on X, formerly known as Twitter, over the last couple of days since this came out. Because I think this allegation just came out like Sunday or Monday of this week. I hear a lot of Black people, or see a lot of Black people saying, well, the problem is that these folks that are not Black are just trying to tear down, quote unquote, Black billionaires. They're trying to tear down Black billionaires. I've heard this phrase over and over again. Now, what exactly does that mean? We got to get into this and figure this out. They're trying to tear down Black billionaires. So the examples that people are using to cite here is Bill Cosby, who I believe was known to be a billionaire. I don't know if he was or not, but Bill Cosby is a name that's been mentioned. Then you have Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Diddy, P. Diddy. He was noted for or having claimed that he was a billionaire. And then you got Jay-Z, who is allegedly also a billionaire. So people are saying, oh, well, what they're doing is they're just trying to come after Black billionaires and tear them down and make Black billionaires look bad. And there's a bunch of Black people who are saying, we're not going to allow them to tear down our Black billionaires. I hear Black people saying this stuff. I don't know if y'all have noticed it, but I've seen it. So first of all, as I already told you, I'm a fan of Jay-Z. I'm a fan of Puff Daddy as well. I personally do not know how much money either of these folks have, what their assets, total assets are, et cetera, et cetera. And none of us actually knows. So we only know what we get told. We don't actually know what any of these people have, whether they're a billionaire or not. Here's the point. The entertainment industry understands the influence that this music has over us. That's all of us. Any of you who listens to hip hop, the entertainment industry understands the influence that these artists have over the everyday person. And they understand that the more influence that your favorite rapper has over you, the more that your favorite rapper can influence you to do whatever the message in your music tells you to do. All right. Can we agree? Can we agree that Puff Daddy, back in the days, if you're old enough to remember, that Puff Daddy, and actually, let me back up. Any of you been to a club where they have bottle service, where you can order bottles and you get a VIP table and you get I don't go to nightclubs. I'm not a nighttime person. I go to bed early. I wake up early. Sometimes when I'm walking to the gym here in Miami or getting on the elevator in my building, I see people coming home from last night. That's how early I wake up. So I don't go to nightclubs. But any of you been to a nightclub and you see, or even on social media, you see the girls walking around with the champagne bottles and they have the little, what do they call those? Like the little, it looks like firecrackers. What is that stuff called? You know, I'm not in part of this world, but the girls, it'll be like 4 or 5 girls and they got the champagne bottles holding them in the air and they got the fire sticks lighting up and they're making this big show out of bringing the bottles to somebody's table. What do they call that stuff? Whatever they call that. All right. So those things when I know bottle girls, but sparklers. Yeah, sparklers. That's the word I'm looking for. So the reason that exists is because of Puff Daddy. All right, that didn't exist before the 90s. Puff Daddy created this culture. Puff Daddy, Notorious B.I.G. back in the 90s when they were dominating hip hop, they created this culture that this is what you do. When you're a person of note and you have money, you go to the club, you buy a bunch of bottles of alcohol, champagne, whatever it is that they're drinking, and you make a big show out of it and make sure everybody knows that you have it. And there's a bunch of people who grow up believing that's what I got to do to prove to people that I got money. You got to show it off. And again, this only happens in our culture. I talked about this a couple weeks, not last week, when I was doing one of my lives, that the Forbes 400 lists allegedly the top 400 richest people in America. There's a bunch of people who qualify for that list who don't get listed. The reason they don't get listed is because they don't want people to know that they have money. Most of these people are not black, they're white. And those cultures, those white cultures, people tend to get money and they want you to not know that they have money. Whereas in our culture, people get money and the first thing we want to do is post it on Instagram and make sure you know that we got it. And there are people who are friends of mine, people who if I seen them today is all good, is all love. I respect them and see what they do and appreciate how and why they do it. Black people who every chance they get, they're trying to show you how much they got and how much they have and all their luxury materials. And they just want to show it off. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying this is just a difference in culture. I'm just juxtaposing the two. There are people on the Forbes billionaires list or who would be on the billionaires list who make sure they're not on the list because they don't want anyone to know that they have money. Whereas in our world, someone with much less money, 100 times less money, but some money, first thing we do is go advertise it. I'm saying all that to say this, that in our culture, the entertainment industry came to understand this very quickly, that if we can promote these entertainers, these rappers, as people of note, we can show that they have money. We can actually give them money. We can even go as far as to call them millionaires or billionaires and give them nice cars and nice houses, or at least let them take pictures in nice cars and nice houses. That will give them even more influence over the young men and women in the communities, the masses of people. And that means whatever these entertainers say, because of their success, or at least what looks like success, the trappings of success that they have, they will be able to give any message, and that's going to influence the masses to go follow whatever the message says. And did that work? Hell yeah, it worked. That worked for a long time. Now, the pull of that message is loosening a little bit these days. I think that was proven in the 2024 presidential election because the Democratic candidate, Vice President Harris, had a whole lot of celebrities, specifically from the hip hop community, working on her behalf. And that's allegedly supposed to help drive votes. Didn't really work. It actually blew up in her face and didn't work at all, despite all the money that's spent on it. So the grip is loosening a little bit, but it's not completely off. It hasn't been completely lost. So when Puff Daddy, etc., those guys are going around telling you, look at all the money we have, a bunch of people were influenced by whatever Puff Daddy said. And Jay-Z, the same thing. Look at all the money I got. Look at all the success I have. A bunch of people were influenced by that. So they just kept upping the ante. Okay, well, Jay-Z's not just a millionaire, he's a billionaire. And the point that I'm bringing up all this for is this, that as soon as those allegations came out against Jay-Z, I seen a bunch of people saying, well, I'm not believing anything they say about Jay-Z because he's a billionaire. They're only trying to take him down because he's a billionaire. All right, that's a false frame. Whether he's a billionaire or not, whether Jay-Z is a millionaire with just $1 million or a billionaire with $100 million, if he is guilty of the crime, he's guilty of the crime. I don't care how much money he got. And if he's not guilty, he's not guilty, regardless of how much money he has. All right, the law is just the law. If it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, you're guilty. And if it's not proven, you're not guilty. That's just how it works. And the civil case, again, doesn't mean anything. The entertainment industry, which is not run by black people, I'm not going to say who, and any of you can put it in the comments, who actually runs the entertainment industry. It ain't black people. Y'all say who it is if you have any idea what I'm alluding to. Definitely can't say it in here. That they understand that if we promote these people, they will have more influence over the culture and over everyday people. And then we can sell them whatever we want to sell them. So if we want to sell them, go to the clubs and spend your money on bottles of champagne and VIP table service. Well, you're going to do it because Puff Daddy told you to do it. Nowadays, you go to a nightclub, everybody has VIP table service. Again, that did not exist until Puff Daddy made it popular. It didn't exist to rap about and glorify that you were dealing drugs until people like Jay-Z made it popular. Didn't become popular to brag about and talk about how much drugs you consume until the drug consumer became a thing. I would say that would be somebody like Future. I'm a fan of Future. Again, he was on my list of top 5. Yeah, some of you got it. That letter that starts with the J that I'm not going to say here. They run the entertainment industry. They said, okay, we can get these people to believe anything we want them to believe, or we get the right influential person to say it. So if this person's worth $1 billion, because in America, capitalistic society, we value people who have financial resources. So if we can say Jay-Z has $1 billion, that's a lot of financial resources. It must mean anything that he's doing, anything that he thinks must be the right thing to do because I want money too. So whatever Jay-Z says, we're going to follow it. And this leads to the idolization that we have in our culture. And I'm going to get to that in one moment. So the more that someone is noted for having, the less that their methods can be questioned. And this is especially true in the black community, that when someone's known for having a whole bunch of money, We're not going to question anything that they say or anything that they do. And if anybody comes against them and says something negative about them, then we're going to attack the person who's talking about them rather than address the thing that was actually said because they're successful. You're hating on them because they're successful. I saw a comment flash through a minute or two ago. Oh, well, who's paying you to say something negative about Jay-Z? I'm a fan of Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z is the best rapper. Again, I just showed you on my Apple Music. I listen to Jay-Z more in 2024 than I listen to any other artist. I'm a fan of Jay-Z. I just know how to talk about things in a logical and objective way. And I'm not a Jay-Z. I don't idolize Jay-Z, but I'm a fan of Jay-Z. There's a difference. And in our community, we created idols out of these people. And here's the problem with that. In other communities, they don't do this. Malcolm X said this back in the 60s. He said that when you want Latin people to be influenced over something that's like a serious everyday issue for everyday people or white people or any other group of people, when they want to be influenced about serious issues that deal with everyday life, they don't send singers or some keyboard player or a baseball player or an actor or an actress to tell the masses of people, here's what's serious, here's what you should do, here's the way you should think. They don't do that. Only our community does that. The Black community is the only community that sends an actor or an actress, Jennifer Lopez, a rapper, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, some entertainer, Puff Daddy, Jay-Z, or some athlete like LeBron James to come tell us what we're supposed to do when it comes to a serious issue like who to vote for president. We're the only community that does that. White people don't go send baseball players and actors and actresses to tell them who to vote for. They don't do that. It's only in our community that we do that. And I'm not putting this on the people who run these industries. I'm not even putting it on the politicians. That's on us. That's an internal issue that we allow people to tout or to put these entertainers in front of us and let them tell us what we're supposed to do. And we sit there and accept it. I mean, you just saw it. And this one ain't going away. 2024. That happened just this year. Kamala Harris did a rally and all these different places she did rallies. She brings Cardi B. Who the fuck wants to hear what Cardi B has to say about a serious issue about real life? Why would you take information or advice or anything from Cardi B on a serious life issue? That Donald Trump couldn't have pulled Cardi B up on the stage, even if Cardi B liked Donald Trump. All right, is he going to pull Cardi B up on the stage? He might, because he understands what I just explained, that there are some Black people from our community who might listen to what Cardi B has to say, even if Cardi B is reading off a teleprompter and teleprompter breaks, so she got to read off her phone. And all she's doing is reading a prepared statement. And this is what we're going to listen to? Really? Really? All right, these are the people that we're listening to. And again, this is us. We allow this. If we said we're not doing this anymore, and Kamala Harris had all the celebrities, all the rappers and entertainers she had. She had Jennifer Lopez. She had Quavo. She had Megan Thee Stallion. She had Beyonce. She had Cardi B. And Beyonce carries herself with a different level of class than Cardi B does. But still, I don't give a fuck what Beyonce got to say about my everyday life. What does Beyonce know about you? If you're making $60,000 a year and you're a single parent, what the hell do you care what Beyonce got to say? How can Beyonce relate to you in any way? But we allow this. This is a Black community thing. We allow this. If we said no more, we ain't listen to this shit anymore, they would stop doing it. But we keep listening to it and we keep buying it, and that's why they keep doing it. So the more that someone allegedly has, again, billionaire, they start calling Jay-Z a billionaire because it gives him more influence. Now you got to listen to what he says. Again, how would you know if he's a billionaire or not? You don't know. But the more that he's known as one, the more he's going to be heard by the young men and young women in our community, especially when they're young and impressionable. Now, if you're listening to me right now and you're 37 or you're 52 years of age, maybe it doesn't have as much of an effect on you, but it does have an effect on if you got a kid who's 17 or 15, because their mind is much more impressionable. They haven't been through as much as you've been through, and they're looking at him like, look at all that success he has. Let me listen to him. So this is the idolatry in the Black community. This is the last point I want to make. Then I'll open it up for questions. The idolatry in the Black community is that we look at these celebrities who have created some level of success and we defend them tooth and nail when anyone challenges anything that they say or anything that they do because of their noted success or their alleged success. Because this person's successful, because they make this much money, because they've done this, this, and this, all the things you can list off about their accomplishments, that means anything that they say is beyond reproach. All right, we can't challenge anything they say or anything they do. The only community in America that does this for celebrities are Black people. It doesn't mean that we don't listen to, doesn't mean that other communities don't listen to your celebrities, whoever they may be. If you're white or Latin or any other group in America, you listen to the celebrities, but you listen to them on certain subjects. You don't let them come tell you, well, here's what you should do when it comes to your community. Here's what you should do when it comes to voting. Here's how you should raise your kids. Like, y'all don't tolerate that. In our community, we tolerate this nonsense. We tolerate this, and because we idolize these folks, and there's no other culture that does this. And again, there are fans, and then there are fanatics, and then there are idolizers. I'm a fan of many entertainers. I'm a fan of, Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan shouldn't be getting up on the stage telling me who to vote for. What the hell do I care what Michael Jordan has to say about that? Now, Michael Jordan want to tell me about how to play basketball. I'm listening. Jay-Z want to tell me how to rap. I'm listening. LeBron want to tell me how to stay in shape. I'm listening. I don't want to hear them talk about things that are outside of their realm of expertise. As we say, stay in your lane. We allow in the Black community people to get way out of their lane, way out of their depth, talking about things they know absolutely nothing about. And again, understand this. In the 1960s, Malcolm X was talking about this all the time. He was going on live TV and saying this. Why are we sending baseball players and actors and actresses and singers to talk to us about serious social issues? We have decayed as a culture to where we've allowed this nonsense because we don't have a Malcolm X, someone with a lot of influence and a big name and a big megaphone saying these kind of things out loud. There's a bunch of people listening to me right now who probably are disagreeing with everything that I'm saying because you idolize Jay-Z. You've been raised to idolize him. There's a difference between being a fan and idolizing. And there's a big problem for young men and young women who don't have parental guidance on the female side. You got Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Didn't they do a song together? WAP. All right, do you want your daughter growing up talking like that? Parents, mothers and fathers, you want your daughter growing up talking about that? Y'all remember the song WAP? That's an acronym. If you remember that song, again, what other community would even tolerate that kind of song, let alone be singing it and make a video about it and celebrate it as some type of female empowerment? No other community would have even tolerated the song coming out in the first place. And we used to be like this. There was a time, those of you who are old enough to remember, in the 1990s, there was I don't know if she was in Congress or the Senate. I don't know what her position was. Her name was C. Dolores Tucker. Any of y'all remember Dolores Tucker? Tupac dissed her on a couple of his songs. C. Dolores Tucker, I don't know what her role was. I don't know where she existed in the in the political sphere. I don't know if she even had a position, but she was well known that C. Dolores Tucker, she would come out and openly and publicly denounce gangster rap music because she said the message in this music is tearing our culture down. It's sending our culture backwards. And a bunch of people pushed back on her and said, no, let them be who they want to be. They're making money. And they would defend it with they're making money. This is the way that a lot of Black people defend any critique of an entertainer. Well, they're making money. All right, Cardi B, well, she's making money. All right, Jay-Z, he's making money. Puff Daddy, he's a billionaire. So you can't say anything about them because they're making money. And this is an issue. And we have to put morals and ethics above just getting a dollar at any cost. I'm not against getting dollars. I'm against getting money. All right, I'm a registered capitalist, as they said. But at the same time, there needs to be a code of honor here. If again, Jay-Z mentioning a code of honor is ridiculous. And this trickle-down success idea that we have in the Black community, this is my final point, is this trickle-down success concept. Y'all don't know what trickle-down success means. It's like cheerleading for somebody, some known person on the internet or on TV who is successful, quote unquote, and you defend them and cheer for them as if the more successful they become, that means you're going to become successful. Thank you, A. Smith, for that gift. Thank you, everybody, for the gifts while I'm talking here. I've seen them. I haven't been able to respond to them all on TikTok. Thank you for the gifts. This is trickle-down success. Oh, so if I defend Jay-Z because he's a billionaire, then what does that do for me? What's that going to do for you? How is defending Jay-Z and Beyonce? They're like, oh, I seen somebody say this the other day on X. Well, I can't understand how so many people want Jay-Z and Beyonce to fail. You must be weird if you want Jay-Z and Beyonce to fail. I don't think anybody cares whether Jay-Z or Beyonce fails. I like 98% of Jay-Z's music. I like about 40% of what Beyonce has put out. I don't care if they succeed or they fail. I just want them to put music out. I don't want to hear them talk about anything that has nothing to do with making music or maybe something in the entertainment realm. If they're talking about entertainment, I'm good. We can talk. I can listen to them on that. I don't want to hear them talk about anything else. I don't care what Beyonce has to say about what she said when she came to the Kamala rally. I'm showing up here as a mother for reproductive rights. So you got 3 kids. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Did Beyonce ever need to abort a child? I don't think so. I think she was trying to get one. And Beyonce is like the same age as I'm 42 years of age. Beyonce is like my age, right? Isn't Beyonce over 40? All right. When did you ever need reproductive rights, quote unquote? Why is she giving a speech defending that? It doesn't make any sense. Didn't even make sense what she was talking about, let alone the fact that she was the one that got called to come stand on that stage and talk about what she was talking about. It made no sense whatsoever. Again, this is why I don't want to hear them talking about these things. And what makes it so crazy when black people like buy into this nonsense. All right, what is Jay-Z going to tell you about what decision to make about your everyday life when if he's a billionaire, he ain't got the same problems you got if you make $70,000 a year and you're a single parent with 2 kids? How can Jay-Z relate to your situation? He can't. So why is he telling you what you should do about something that affects your real everyday life? It's like Dave Chappelle. Y'all remember that Dave Chappelle skit about he was talking about 9/11, and it was like Ja Rule. He said he was watching MTV and they brought Ja Rule on there. He was like, I don't give a damn what Ja Rule has to say. What did he say? He was like, who the fuck cares what Ja Rule has to say at a time like this? He said, I don't want to dance. I'm scared to death. Oh, we want to hear what Ja Rule has to say? You want to hear Ja Rule or Jay-Z or Beyonce talk to you about some real life situation when they're allegedly this high level celebrity who has all this money? If you ain't got that, how can you relate to this person? Oh, I get what you're saying. I get what some of you may say. Well, if I listen to them enough, then maybe I'll learn how to be a billionaire too. Okay, you believe that if you want to. And listen, I'm not saying don't aim to be a billionaire. What I'm saying is, first of all, let's just look at all the filters Jay-Z had to go through to become Jay-Z. First of all, he did criminal things. So if you go do criminal things, you're probably going to get clipped out right there. 99% chance you end up in a box, whether a coffin or a jail cell. All right, so you're probably not going to end up Jay-Z. And look at all the other rappers who were rapping the same things Jay-Z rapped. They ain't at Jay-Z's position. So again, this just takes a level of thought that a lot of people aren't willing to put into this, because it's much easier to just listen to the music and idolize these people because of who they claim to be or who they're told to be. And let me give you all one last point about this whole billionaire thing and all the stuff you see on social media. It is very easy because I have enough of a brand on the internet. I get the emails. I get direct messages and cold emails every single day, not only to my DMs and my email inbox, but also to my staff email inboxes of people offering me things like, so when you see someone in Forbes magazine or Entrepreneur magazine or INC magazine or on some website and it's touting that you make this much money and you have this kind of status, et cetera, I hope you all understand that those things can be purchased. Did y'all know that? Put a yes or no in the comments if you knew that. Put a yes or no in the comments if you understood that, if you knew that that was a thing. And I'm just checking my comments over here. Hold on one second. Okay. So you can buy these things. These can be bought. So if I spend the right amount of money, I get emails all the time. For $5,000, we'll list you in Forbes magazine. We'll put you in Inc. magazine. We'll put you on Entrepreneur magazine. We'll put you on these websites, and we'll post about you on these platforms. And you can tell us what to say about you. We'll say it. So I can tell you anything about me. If I spend the right amount of money, it will get posted out there. And if I spend the right amount of money enough times and it keeps getting said, well, guess what? Eventually the internet will accept, okay, well, Dre is this, because they keep saying it in all these reputable publications. All right, these things are bought. This is called PR. It's called public relations. And if you think Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and Beyonce and whoever else does not spend money on public relations, or their companies are not spending money to keep their names in the news and keep saying the same stuff about them, oh, this person made this much money last year. This person made this much money. You know, when they do the Forbes list every year, the top paid entertainers, this person made this much, this person made that much. That stuff is paid for, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to burst your bubble. I hate to let you know that Santa Claus ain't real. That stuff is paid for. How can you actually know? You work at a magazine. How can you know how much money somebody made? How can you actually know that? Have you ever actually thought about that? How can you actually know how much money Jay-Z made last year? All you know is what he told you. And if he pays enough money, you're going to print it. That's the way it works. In case any of you didn't know, I hate to let you know the Easter Bunny is not real. That when your tooth comes out and you put it under your pillow and you wake up the next day and there's $1 bill under the pillow. I hate to burst your bubble. That was your mom that put the dollar under there. That wasn't the fucking Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy. That's paid for. All right. That is not real. I didn't know that any of you didn't know that. All right. That's real. That's not real. I mean, it's real. That is not real. That stuff is paid for. So my management company, if I'm a rapper, I have my management company take part of their budget and put it into putting me in Forbes and saying that I made this much money last year. Because if I can go and have Forbes say that I made $50 million last year, now I can say I made 50 million in my next song. And now you're going to listen to me because I made $50 million. And now whatever else I tell you, you're going to listen to because I got the money. This is the way it actually works, in case any of you didn't know. So anyway, let me recap the points I just gave, and then I'll take questions. So first of all, we're talking about this Jay-Z assault. It looks like it's just an allegation at this point. This may be complete nonsense and nothing may come from it at all, but I wanted to talk about this anyway for the reasons that I've articulated. Jay-Z's statement, I read it out loud. Y'all can find it online. It surprised me because he rarely reacted. He never reacted to anybody when he was doing music. But he reacted to this one pretty quickly, and it sounded like nothing I ever Jay-Z talked like this. But if he literally wrote this, it sounds like he wrote it. It doesn't sound anything like I'm used to hearing from Jay-Z. Next thing, civil cases can mean nothing at all. I already explained the difference between a civil case and a criminal case. Criminal case, you got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Civil case is more likely than not. The burden of proof is much lower. And if someone loses a civil case, does not prove anything. Do not be influenced by that. Black billionaires. You got to be very careful with this concept, especially people from the entertainment industry whose whole business is around boasting what they have. And the more they boast what they have, the more people listen to them. Doesn't mean that they are not billionaires. Also doesn't mean that they are. How would you actually know if someone's a billionaire? You can't know unless you can look at all of their assets. You can know their accountant. You can look at all the stuff that they have. You don't know. So do not be fooled into this concept of this person has this person has that. That stuff is bought and paid for. If I wanted to, I could go to Forbes right now, give them enough money, and they will print whatever I tell them to print about me, and they will do it over and over and over again to the point that the internet accepts it, and people will start believing it about me, even if it's not true. That stuff is paid for. It's called public relations. It is paid for every single day. If any of you didn't know, now you know. And the biggest issue here is the idolatry in the Black community. We're the only culture that allows ourselves to be influenced so much by entertainers and athletes and people who are doing things, again, based on having a certain level of talent, not based on having a certain level of intellectual chops. We are the only ones who do this, the only culture who does this. And then we take the people who actually achieve through intellect and we get mad at them if they have the wrong opinion. Look at someone like Clarence Thomas, for example. These people get talked bad about simply because they have the wrong opinion on a certain side, but then we will idolize Jay-Z. If Jay-Z walked in the room and Clarence Thomas walked in the room, there'd be a much bigger crowd around Jay-Z. And what can you learn from Jay-Z? You can probably learn more from Clarence Thomas than you will learn from Jay-Z, but you get to take a picture with Jay-Z. And that's the issue in our community. Anyway, I'll probably talk about this sometime in the future, but let's see what we got going on in the comments, and I'll address them. So starting over on YouTube, the malfunctioning NPC says, good morning, chat. Shout out from Ohio. Shout out to Ohio. Jay Allen, I see you over there. Appreciate it. Gary Whitfield, appreciate you. Mike Larry said, the only one case and many to come. We'll see. We'll see. AJ Graves, I see you. Maria said, dominoes about to fall. Hollywood is falling. We'll see. We'll see. They're just allegations for now. So we gotta be honest and be fair. We gotta be fair. It's just allegations for now. We can't go off anything else yet. Tim Reish over there on Facebook. I see you. Shout out to Facebook. Supri Eero, I see you over there on Facebook. Appreciate you as well. LinkedIn. I don't think anybody on LinkedIn is going to make a comment publicly about anything that I'm saying. Shout out to people watching on LinkedIn quietly. Shout out to those of y'all watching quietly on LinkedIn. Maxime said he did it. We'll see. They got to prove it. You got to prove it, everybody. Y'all all know that you got to prove it. Someone said, baby trying to say something. He's saying a lot. You got to prove it. You accuse someone of a crime, you must prove it. Bionic Man said, look, what Oprah just got paid. Yeah, I heard about that. And she tried to lie and say she didn't get paid when her company got paid. Bionic Man says, show them something shiny. Yeah, you're pretty much right. You're right about that, Bionic Man. Said, we're trying to cancel the cold outside Christmas song. Donnie Zest, what's going on? Good morning, sir. All right, TikTok, here we are. I'm here. What you got? Brittany, I think I saw you in here earlier. Appreciate you moderating. Shout out to Brittany moderating the comments here. So, Brittany, you see anything good? Go ahead and pin it. Let's get to it. Fit Miss Ann says, people idolize celebrities. Yes, they do. And it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing to idolize them for what they do, the thing that made them a celebrity. So if you idolize your favorite football player because you want to learn football from them, that's fine. Is when you start listening to them outside of their area of expertise, that's when we get problems. So if you idolize Ronaldo because he's great at soccer, cool. But if he starts talking about shit that ain't got nothing to do with soccer and you listen to it because of who he is on the soccer field or the soccer pitch, that's when you get a problem. And again, only in our community do we allow this in a widespread way. Divine said Billie Eilish. I've heard of her, but I don't know her work. But I get your point. Osmond Garcia said, I totally agree with you. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Chicken. Where is Ja? If y'all didn't see that Dave Chappelle skit, it was from years ago, but it was funny. He was like, I don't give a fuck what Ja Rule's got to say at a time like this. I don't want to dance. I'm scared to death. I'm using that Ja example as the same thing. Like, why the hell do we care what a rapper has to say about real life? Amanda Mullins said, you can't talk to people with any common sense anymore. I give up trying to talk. People want to defend. Well, Amanda, you're correct. The challenge these days, appreciate you, Donnie. The challenge with these days, Amanda, is you have to break things down and you gotta be very precise in your language. Now that just happens to be my area of expertise, so I'm able to do this. But if you don't want to go into this level of like precision and breaking things down, then you're right. You should probably just stay out of the game. So you're right about it. Carl Walker 415 say, can you stop talking bad about our black leaders? I don't know if you're being tongue-in-cheek and you're joking. I don't know if you're trolling me, Carl, or you're serious. But Jay-Z and Puff Daddy are leaders in the entertainment world. They're not leaders in the black community. So I don't know if you're trolling or not, but I appreciate the comment either way. Divine said NWA, yeah. Martha Kent said they taught us how to turn off our brains. Well, that's what entertainment is. I don't know if any of you's over the age of, if you're over the age of 35, you or your parents, they used to call the TV the idiot box. And you remember that when they used to call the TV the idiot box? They called it the idiot box because that's what idiots would do when they didn't want to think. They would turn on the TV. So now our phones are the idiot box. Anthony said, Trump giving you a check. This is why we will never make it. Well, first of all, who's we? Who you talking about we? Secondly, what do you mean by make it? And third, if Trump's giving me a check, please tell me where they mailed the check because I ain't got it. If Trump sent me a check, please tell me where it's at. And I don't like people sending me checks, as a matter of fact. I like direct deposit. So any of you going to send me a check, don't send me a check. Just send an email to my assistant. We'll give you our ACH information. You can direct deposit me. I don't like getting checks. I don't like waiting for checks. So Trump's giving me a check, call him and tell him to cancel it and direct deposit me whatever the amount of the check was. I ain't get it yet. All right. So Martha said that's why we're the fastest dying population. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Traditional all day said, yes, she did. I remember her. They dogged that woman. Yeah. You talking about, what's her name? C. Dolores Tucker. Yes, they attacked her hard. And there used to be even men. There used to be men in our community who would go buy a CD of some gangster rapper that had curse words all over it, and they would break the CDs. They would put a bunch of them in a pile, and they would stomp on the CDs as a message to the community that this type of communication we do not approve of. We used to have leaders in our community who did that. And I'm not talking the 60s. I'm talking the 90s. That used to be in the 90s. That there used to be black men in our community that said, this kind of music is not okay, and we are not promoting this. Even my own, not my dad, because my dad's into the music, but my mom would be like, no, you can't listen to that. If it got the explicit lyrics label on it, you can't listen to it. She used to say that to me when I was relatively young. Then eventually she just let me listen to what I wanted to. But we used to have this in our communities. Nowadays it's wide open. The standards have been lowered is the point. And I'm reading comments on TikTok now. So you got something to go ahead and post it in. Brittany's going to pin anything good. Joel Faded said, what Republicans run on? LOL. Well, I think they ran on America first. And then what Trump said, make America great again. I think that's what they ran on for the third time. And it worked twice. Shayna H got the number 2 gifter badge. Appreciate you. Paul G, number 7, said, making fun of Dems. Yeah, why not? Divine said, Kiss, the rock band was scary with all that devil makeup on. Oh, yeah, Kiss. I know who they are, but I never listen to their music. But I understand you, but you don't see them really talking about things that are outside of their lane. They pretty much talk about their own thing. Fit Miss Ann said Republicans only hire. Okay, I get what you're saying, but we know that's not the case. We know that's not what it is. Martha says not about politics, it's about preserving our race. Perhaps. Irma, thank you for the lightning bolt. Carla said she should have said she was showing up because she was paid. Well, then the message wouldn't have landed. You can't say that. The message wouldn't have landed if she said that. Monica says he was into criminal activity before the money. Him making money doesn't change who he is. Well, a lot of people say that about him, but you say that in front of some Jay-Z idolizers, they're going to tear you to pieces, Monica. I get what you're saying, though. Divine said, "Wow, maybe when she was younger." No, I don't think so, Divine. She's been with Jay-Z for a long time, and they've been together for like 20 years. They've been together for 20 years. I think what Jay-Z said in one of his songs was that she was having failed pregnancies. He alluded to it, that she was having failed pregnancies on a song called 444. He said it. I don't think she ever had that issue. So yeah, Beyonce's 43, so Beyonce is a little bit older than me. So what is she talking about? The right to abort a pregnancy. I don't think she ever had that need. She got 3 kids, and she's older. So I think they say it's geriatric pregnancy when you're over 35. So, and her kids, I think her first kid is what, a little over the age of 10. So I don't know why she was doing that. I mean, I know why she did it, but I don't know why she did it. If I was Beyonce, I would have took the check too. Allegedly, according to reports, it was $10 million. I mean, how many of you would turn down a check, $10 million to talk for 4 minutes? I would take it. Diane said, because she's speaking on behalf of others. Yes, the problem is the message has to still connect, Diane. Doesn't the message still have to make sense? It has to make sense. It's like if Jay-Z was to go and give a speech and say, I'm all against any form of drugs and say no to drugs, that doesn't make sense coming from Jay-Z, given what he's promoted himself as. He's promoted himself as a drug dealer. You can't come out and say I'm against drugs. The message just doesn't connect. So the messenger does matter. So if a woman like Beyonce, who has 3 kids and we've never heard of her needing to abort a pregnancy, comes out and she's promoting the ability to get an abortion, that doesn't make sense. The message just doesn't connect. It doesn't make sense. And this was one of the criticisms of the whole thing, was not only that part, but also the fact that we know she got paid, that they did it in the state of Texas, which Kamala had no chance of winning, and that she only talked for 4 minutes and didn't perform. And it almost seemed like a bait and switch, according to some, because they were like, Beyonce's going to come, and a bunch of people showed up to get a Beyonce show. She didn't give a show. She just talked and left. Bryn says she's talking about the future of women. She's fighting for the future of her daughters. Again, Bryn, is the future, Bryn, assuming that you have daughters, a daughter or daughters, is the future of your daughters their ability to abort a baby or the ability to have one? Which one matters more? I never understood this framing. The future of my daughter is their ability to abort a pregnancy. It doesn't happen as often as people talk about it. And people are talking about this like this is some super important thing, the ability to abort a pregnancy. It makes no sense to me. Getaway said, well said, really appreciate your perspective. I grew up the very lifestyle you're speaking of, yet I always stayed aware of positive and negative side of thug style music. I feel like hip hop. Yeah, I got you. Getaways, I appreciate it. Paul said, Oprah didn't convince you. Yeah, didn't Oprah say? Oprah said if Trump wins, that we might not be able to vote again. That's what Oprah says. So we'll see. We'll see. If we get the 2026 midterms, if we're able to vote, then that means Oprah was wrong. The media says, so you want a poor person to speak. That's what we call a straw man question, the media. Any of you want to know a tell for a straw man question? Usually it starts with someone saying, so, or so you're saying. And then what they're going to do is rephrase what you said into something that you didn't say. Then they're going to turn it into a question as if you need to respond to it. I didn't say that, so I don't have to respond to it. Belfort Williams on IG said, we're the group celebrity culture is marketed to. That's correct. People tend to order what's on the menu as a distraction. We idolize black celebs because they represent making it. That's true. Exactly. Exactly my point. Good to see you over here. Divine said, because he made it for a corner boy to a corner office. Yeah, and he even tells us that. The problem is most people who are corner boys don't make it to corner offices. That's why it's kind of like wishing on a star is what it is. Voice in the Wilderness is good teaching, sir. Rubber meets the road type of stuff. Yes, I like that. Rubber meets the road type of stuff. I never heard my material described in that way, but I will take that. B, the instructor said, you are making valid arguments. I think I am too. I agree. Henry said, thank you. You are right on point. They need to stay in their lane. Again, thank you. Thank you, Henry Williams. Glad you got that. Tracy said, why doesn't anyone say they worry about the future of their sons? Well, because we have a strong feminist movement happening in America right now. So the women are getting all the attention. That's why. I mean, I think people with sons do care about the future of their sons. But right now, feminism is running the day. That's happening. Carla said, could I repeat what I said? The whole hour and a half? You can watch the replay, Carla. You can find it on YouTube. Anyway, any of y'all watching this who came in the middle, you want to hear the whole thing over again, it's on YouTube. My YouTube is just Dre. Just look up my name, Dre Baldwin. I'm very easy to find on any social media. I'm on all of them, by the way. Richard said, did Jay-Z get charged? No, it's only an allegation right now. I don't even know if they filed the civil suit. What I heard was that Jay-Z was filing a countersuit against the lawyer because he didn't like the fact that the lawyer was even coming at him with this, what Jay-Z labeled as an extortion attempt. And then the lawyer put that statement out to clear the air. So no, Jay-Z has not been charged. And if he was charged, it was only in a civil charge, not a criminal charge. Two different things. Troy said, I wasn't sure, but it makes sense. You can buy approval rating through Google. Also, I was told, oh, absolutely, you can, Troy. You spend the right amount of money, you can get the internet to say whatever you want it to say about you. You get the internet to say you're a billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, poor, broke, whatever. The internet can say anything you want it to say about you if you are willing to spend the money to push the message. That is absolute fact. I get the DMs every single day of people offering me, we can get you in this for this much money. And if I want to, I can get it and I can have you all believe in whatever I want you to believe about me. I write the story. They don't write the story. I write the story. And then I send it to them and then they put it out under their name. That's the game. This is just PR. This is how PR has always worked, by the way, in case any of you didn't know. It's just more transparent now. Carla said they even pay for the Hollywood Walk of Fame stars. Great point. Carla just made it right there. The Hollywood Walk of Fame, in case y'all didn't know, if they offer you to be on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you have to pay to get on the Walk of Fame. That's not like some honor bestowed upon you. It's not some thing that you quote unquote earned. If I spent enough money, I probably couldn't get on the Walk of Fame today because I'm not famous enough. But if I spend enough money on Forbes and Entrepreneur and getting myself known on the internet and building up this name for years, 10, 20 years from now, I could probably get a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Just by spending money, not because I actually did anything of substance. I do things of substance, but I'm saying you don't get on there because of your substance. You get on there because you're willing to pay for it. And you have to be famous enough that it makes sense. So it got to be passable. Like, again, I couldn't just go get a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. People be like, who the hell is Dre Baldwin? But if you're somewhat famous enough, you can probably get one. So who's somebody that can be on there? Like Beyonce could get a Hollywood Walk of Fame star right now if she was willing to pay for the star. And she probably will have one at some point. But she has to pay for that. Again, they don't just give it to you. Keith said, Barrage Truth, say it enough. Carl says, stop saying Jay-Z with Puff Daddy's name. They're friends. They did music together. They did songs together. They got photos together. They do events together. Why not? They're connected. Like it or not, they are connected. Puff Daddy and Jay-Z have been doing music together for 30 years, Carl. They've been friends for 30 years. So why not connect them? Divine said Hollywood Walk of Stars bought. Yes, it is. It is purchased. Now, again, please don't take that out of context. You got to be famous enough that it is passable that you're famous. Again, I couldn't go get a Hollywood Walk of Fame star even if I had the money to offer them. If I said to you, all right, how much is a star Hollywood? And they said it's $25,000. I said, all right, I got $25,000. Doesn't mean they're going to put me on because it wouldn't make sense because people would see it and be like, who the hell is Dre Baldwin? But if you're famous enough, then it makes sense. So if Cardi B wanted a Hollywood star, she could get it because she's famous enough that it kind of makes sense that she has one. So I'm not saying any of you, if you're not famous, you can just go get one. But with the right amount of money, you can pretty much promote anything you want and get people to believe it. Brian said Jay-Z spent millions trying to make his wife a country singer. Well, she did. Technically, she did a country album. So I guess it worked. Brian, I guess we got to admit that it worked. Britt said it's true. You have to pay to be in Forbes. Yes, you do. You pay to be in Forbes. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody in Forbes paid. But if you want to be in Forbes, you can pay. That's the whole point. All right, so don't get my points misconstrued. Please don't take anything I say out of context, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very good at adding context to everything that I said. And that's one of my superpowers. That's the reason why I do these lives. Carl said, have you read any one of those books behind you? So Carl Walker, 415. Every single day when I do these lives, there's somebody disagreeing with me who will make that same comment that you just made. Like, I've been doing these lives every day, especially on TikTok for like the last 90 days or weekdays, Monday through Friday. I've been doing these lives for about 3 months. Every single day, somebody makes this exact same comment. Have you read any one of those books behind you? Carl, I'll be happy to let you know that I have written the books that you can see behind me. Every one of these books behind me is my book. So if you look closely enough, you see my name on each book. Those are my books. So yes, not only did I read them, I wrote them. Divine said, yeah, they had the money to pay for it. Well, it's not that much money. It could be a couple $1,000s. Divine, you can get yourself in Forbes today for $1,000. You just got to know the right person. BB said, is he a lawyer? Are you talking about me? I am not a lawyer, but I play one on TikTok. He said that he reacted that fast. He's guilty. I heard a lot of people say that. I can't go with that. I can't go off that, Keith. I get what you're saying, but I can't go off that. Goldie Film said he asked if you read your own books, LMAO. Well, some of these people don't know who I am. Some of these people watching me right now never heard of me before. So, and if you disagree with what I'm saying, then of course you're going to look for some way to discredit me. And by the way, I would not have books on display like this where you can see the front cover if they weren't mine. So if I got somebody else's book, it's going to be on the spine like those over there. Those are mine too, but I'm not putting somebody else's books on display. These are all mine. So when you see someone has books on display like this where you can see the front of them, usually it's because it's their books. They want you to see it. That's the reason why I got them looking like this. I'm not promoting anybody else's book. Traditional said he about to be another Diddy. We'll see. They got to prove it. Again, we gotta be fair, everybody. They got to prove it. So even if you don't like Jay-Z, they still have to prove it. If they don't prove it, then we can't go off that. Viv Free said, when you're a parent, you will speak up and out about your family's name. Yes, I agree with that. Joel said, lawyers are great people. Well, some of them are. ND8 said, TikToker broke down Jay-Z's response as bars, which I actually like. Well, thank you. That's the first time I heard somebody say it that way, but I appreciate it. Carl said, the whole world is influenced by hip hop and sports. I agree, including me, Carl. I'm influenced by hip hop and sports when I want to know about hip hop and sports. I want to hear a rapper talk to me about social issues or voting or taxes. I don't want to hear a basketball player talking about it either. I want to hear them talk about the thing that they are known for, not the things that they are not known for. I don't want to hear Oprah talking to me about who to vote for. Oprah is known for being a talk show host. And that interview she did with Kamala, she wasn't really digging. She wasn't doing, I want to hear Kamala talk to Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly, somebody who's going to actually ask her some challenging questions, or even Joe Rogan. She didn't do that. And we saw the outcome of that. Liv Free said entertainment is a distraction from power. In some ways it is. Yes. Carl said it's not a black thing. Influence comes from everything. Well, what I said was, Carl, that in the black community, we tend to be heavily influenced by entertainers in ways that other communities are not. Just to make sure you got you're responding to correctly to what I actually said. Monica said Candace Owens. Yeah. Someone said Jay got bars. Yes, he does. I think Jay-Z's the best rapper. All right. Yes, Jay-Z has bars. All right. Everybody hear that? Jay-Z got bars. Okay. So anybody think I don't like Jay-Z? I like Jay-Z. I listen to Jay-Z more than I listen to any other rapper. Literally, according to my Apple Music replay, Jay-Z #1, Drake #2, Nas #3, Rick Ross #4, Future #5. It's right here. You see? All right. Jay-Z has bars. All right. Anybody wondering if I think Jay-Z got bars? Yes, he does. So yes, Jay-Z got bars. All right. We learned a lot from Anita, the Clarence Thomas. Yeah. Andre Osit said, what's this? It is a live stream. Let's see. Scotty G, the professor, said, love the message since you are trying to awaken the race. Thoughts and prayers. So thank you, sir. Victoria said, Diddy plus Jay-Z, DJ. Oh, yeah. Oh, you saying Trump? Trump equals Diddy plus Jay-Z? Interesting. We'll see. All right, they got to take him to court. So Trump been to court. Puff Daddy might be going to court, and Jay-Z might be going to court. So they got to go to court like Donald Trump before they can be equal to him. They got to go to court like he did. Donald Trump went to court a lot. All right, Puff and Jay-Z have avoided court for the most part. Carl said it's Messi over Ronaldo. Well, I don't know anything about soccer. That's the first name that came to mind. Let's see. Leslie said, I love your reading selections. Well, thank you. Me too. Me too. Scotty said, precise in the language. Absolutely. Yeah. So these days, folks, if you're going to get into these discussions about these subjects where half the audience thinks one way and half thinks the other way, you got to be very precise in your language, because people will basically dissect everything you say and try to make you look bad or sound bad or straw man any point that you make and kind of try to run circles around you. So if you're not precise in your language, don't get into these conversations, because people will just try to pick you apart based on nonsense. But you got to be so precise. You got to basically be a lawyer. You got to be like an attorney in court. That's why a lot of people ask me if I'm a lawyer, because the way that I speak, I try to be as precise as possible, because I don't want to leave any openings for people to straw man my points and make it seem like I said something that I didn't say. But that's one of my superpowers. So that's why I'm able to do it. But if you're not that type of person, or you don't want to be that type of person, just have your opinion. Generally, just keep it to yourself. That's what I would suggest, unless you want to get aggravated through these conversations. Kathy said, with these charges, they're closer to Biden than Trump. That's funny. We'll see. Again, everything with charges, we got to say, we'll see. They got to prove it. Everything must be proven. All right. I want to make sure everybody heard me say that. It has to be proven. Someone said, Candace Owens, that's all I need to know. If you think she's a hard hitter, you're ignorant. Okay. Pippin ain't easy. Explain. Give some context to that. What's your challenge with Candace Owens? What do you not like about her or her approach? If you got a challenge to Candace Owens, tell me what it is. Again, I like Candace Owens. I don't idolize her, but if you have a challenge and you don't like her approach, tell me why. Maybe you have a good point. Well, let me hear it. If you have one, let's hear it. Post it in the comments. So Brittany, you see him post that answer, please pin it so I can see it. Dr. J. Ware, sir, critical thinking is critical. Yes, it is. Kendra said meet when she was 15. Who are you talking about? Kendra. Andre said, you look younger than that, brother. Yes, thank you for the compliment. Usually I get told I look younger. And see, because I'm in a suit, people assume that, it's an interesting thing. When I put on a suit, people assume that the assumptive age of me is a little bit older when I wear a suit, but when I wear a t-shirt and snapback hat and shorts, people assume I'm even younger. So the clothes do make the man, so to speak. Kind of clothes you wear gives people a hint to your age, not only in addition to like your profession, type of person you are, etc. So when I wear a suit, the perceived age is a little bit higher than when I wear like a t-shirt and shorts. Brian said, all these celebrities are paid pawns. That's it. I've heard that. And I won't even push back to that. I won't even push back to that point. I understand where you're coming from. Henry said, thanks for being on point. You are so right. They need to stay in their lane. Yes, exactly. They need to stay in their lane. Winter Violet said, imagine her story is true and you saying that he hung out with Diddy. So come on, who's her? Who are you talking about when you say her? You talking about let me see this. Are you talking about the girl that the lawyer said that got assaulted 25 years ago? Yeah, if her story is true, they got to prove it. So Winter, if that's the point that you're making, then they got to prove it. You still had to prove it. You accuse someone of a crime, you must prove it. All right, that's bottom line, period. I don't care who you're talking about. Live freestyle. I'll never understand why black people don't accept different perspectives. Most people are not critical thinkers. And that is not just black people. That's all people. Carlos said, I would not take 10 million to say things that I stand against. Well, see, what I would do is I would finesse the situation and say, all right, I'll come speak, Kamala, but I'm not going to say that. All right, I'll say something, but I ain't going to say that. But for $10 million, I don't know. I would have a conversation. Let's just put it that way. For $10 million, I would have the conversation. And Beyonce already is online. Jay-Z was working on an Obama campaign in 2008. So they're already on that side anyway. So it's not even hard. John Jacobs says, second day here, Dre, I'm impressed with your knowledge. Smart man. Thank you, sir. Coco said, if Kamala put that money and get out the vote PACs organizations, maybe she would have won Georgia. Maybe. But they put a lot of money into a lot of things. And she still lost. So, Star said, and she's not poor. Who are you talking about? Monica said she looked forced as well for all 4 minutes. Well, it was a paid engagement. What do you expect? It was paid work. All right, paid work sometimes is forced, but you do what you got to do to collect the check. I can't be mad at it. I don't know about that, Brian. Money laundering, no. I'm thinking she just paid her. You're allowed to do that. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to pay somebody to come speak for you. Let's see. Tracy said, why doesn't anyone say they worry about? Oh, yeah, I answered that one. Clive, Quincy, Tommy, M. Russell. Yeah, I heard. E-Red 167. I've heard that. Just in Excess said, are you familiar with South Dakota and our governor, Kristi Noem? I've heard of her. I only heard of her for that one story about the dog that was in her book. Other than that, I don't know that much about her. But I have been to South Dakota, believe it or not. Shout out to South Dakota. Shout out to the flyover states. How many people in here from a flyover state? I'm a coastal guy, but I appreciate the flyover state folks. Someone said they tried to get money before it even went public. Yeah, I know. That's the reason why it went public, because I think Jay-Z's side got tired of them coming at him. So then he put out that statement, then the guy put something else out, and now you got this public situation. Monica says, silence the opposition, they pay enough. Yes, that's the whole point. America's a very litigious society. That's what happens. Coco said, Walk of Fame stars are like 50,000 per star. I believe that. That sounds about right. Live Free said, nothing is real, is all an illusion. Depending on where you look at it, you're correct. Everybody has their own subjective reality. So I agree with you on that point. We're not going to go past 10 o'clock here, folks. So any of you still here, we're not going to go past the next 12 minutes. So you got questions or comments, go ahead and post. Ronald said, good morning, sir. How many more celebrities will be charged this year? Well, we only got a couple weeks left, so I don't know. Hopefully everybody's just doing everything and staying above the law, so we won't have to have any charges. That would be the ideal outcome, but we'll see. Sam said, local rappers get Hollywood stars. Yeah, I agree with that. You're right. But they got to have enough fame that it's plausible that they got a star. So it has to be plausible that they get it. John said, what is your profession? You may not be famous enough, but damn sure smart enough. Well, you don't get on the walk of fame by being smart. It's not the walk of smart, it's the walk of fame. So I appreciate what you're saying, but it's not called the walk of smart. Ain't no such thing as a star for being smart. You get a star for being famous. Carl, Indiana, I appreciate that. How many likes we got? We got 26. Can we get to 30,000 in the next 10 minutes? Likes, everybody who's listening. Coco said, Jay is guilty by association. Well, that's what they're trying to do. They still got to prove it. Sam said, no, he is not guilty by association. So I agree. I agree with Sam. You got to prove it. If you say someone is guilty, you must prove it. Someone said Trump and the E guy. I got to be careful saying his name. Well, that E guy is not alive anymore. So how do we know? Sulan Think Tank said, if you offer enough, trust me, you can get one. LOL. I know, you're right. So if it normally costs 50, they might say to me, well, Dre, we never even heard of you. So for you is 150. All right. So if I come up with 150, they would probably give me a star. I agree with you. They probably would. The star is just PR. That's all it is. You get a Hollywood star for public relations, because that way you can put to the public, look at me, I'm on this. And then you get that. Tilly333 said, will you please smile once in a while? All right, you ready? I want you to take a screenshot when I do this. Ready? Smile. All right, there you go. Tilly, I'm just trying to read the comments and get through these as quickly as I can so I can. Sam said, did you write your books? Yes, I did. I write all my books. Nobody does any writing for me. I've had people come to me, offer me ghostwriting, copywriting, etc. I am a ghostwriter and copywriter. I write stuff for other people. So no, I never have anybody write my stuff. You didn't ask that, but I write all my stuff 100%. Speaking and writing are my two best tangible skills. So that's why I always do all my speaking and writing. Pippin said, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Candace Owens is a propagandist. Well, what do you mean by propagandist? I mean, everybody's a propagandist, honestly, if depending on how you're defining the term. Everybody does propaganda. Propaganda is taking material, not necessarily giving the full context and pulling it out of context and making a point behind it. Who doesn't do that? Name someone in the public sphere who doesn't do that. Everybody does it. Not everyone has. You got to understand something. Pippin ain't easy is that in order to give people full context on any subject, you got to talk for like an hour. If you post a tweet or a post on social media or a 30-second video on TikTok, you can't give people a full context in 30 seconds. It's impossible. To give people the full context on any subject, you have to talk for 2 hours like I'm doing, or you got to write a fucking book. So anything shorter than that technically can fall under the category of propaganda. So depending on how you're defining the phrase, you're right. But at the same time, it doesn't really prove what I think you're trying to allude to. If I take this video, which I'm going to do, I'm going to put it into some software. It's going to create a whole bunch of little clips, like a minute or two clips. Any one of those clips can be labeled as propaganda because I'm not giving you the full context. This whole video is 2 hours long. Who's going to sit and watch a 2-hour video? Not everybody. So social media has created a breeding ground for propaganda. So you're right, but at the same time, not in the way that I think you're trying to be. Sam said you can pay to be on any media platform. That's also true. Any book recommendations for ones you've read, not written? Yes. On what subject, Theo? Give me a subject. I'll recommend you books. I create my dynasty said playing a lawyer on TikTok. Yes, I play a lawyer on TikTok. I'm not a lawyer. So anyone wonder if I'm a lawyer? No. Solon said, I've never heard of you, but you've never heard of us. Right. Right. Brent said, do I think he is guilty? Guilty of what? And no, I don't think anybody's guilty till you prove it. So the law in the United States of America is you are innocent until you are proven guilty. So that's my answer to anyone charged with anything. You are innocent until they prove that you are not innocent. That's how it works. So it's not 50-50. It is 100% innocent until they prove that you're guilty. So if they didn't prove, they got to prove Puff Daddy. They got to prove Jay-Z. They got to prove anybody else that goes to court. Anybody, even that guy, the healthcare CEO who shot him. It looks like they got him. Looks like they found the right person, but they got to prove it. They still got to go to court. He still gets his day in court, and they still have to prove it. All right, this is the way that I think. So this is one of the reasons people think I'm a lawyer, because the way that I break things down. You must prove it. Okay, you must prove it. Someone said, what book would I recommend on marketing and branding? Wow, that's a very big, broad topic. I would say anything by Dan Kennedy, Goldie Films. Look up Dan Kennedy. He's an older guy, but he has a bunch of books on marketing and sales. He has a book called No BS Marketing. Actually, get that one. It's called No BS Marketing. Guy's name is Dan Kennedy. And then I would, he's an older guy and someone who is like younger writing about marketing. Man, there's so many. I would read a book called This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. Godin. It's called This Is Marketing. And then I would read a book called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. I would give you those three. I can give you 1,000. I read a lot of books. Not 1,000, but you get what I'm saying. Allison said, I wrote them all. How to flex without moving a muscle. Appreciate that, Allison. I like that. What would you have to do to make the movie Diddy and Jay-Z? What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by that question. Someone said, Karen, who's Karen Hunter? I heard that name. I don't know who it is. Nikki said, there's literally no proof from 25 years ago. Anybody can say anything. Nikki, I agree with you. That doesn't mean that they can't win in civil court, though. You can still win. I mean, there was no proof for Trump. He lost. There was no proof for the person who alleged Trump of assault. He lost. He said he never even met the woman, and he still lost. So you tell me, Nikki, what does that mean? Trump said, I never even met this woman and still lost a civil suit. Where she said he assaulted her. He said, I never met this woman ever in my life. And he still lost. So that tells you everything you need to know about the legal system, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you need to stay out of it. All right, stay out of the legal system. Sugar said, Dre loves chocolate bars. I love chocolate. Sugar, I do not eat chocolate. Actually, I stopped eating candy like 3 weeks ago. And if I do eat chocolate, it's only in a candy bar, like a Snickers bar. But I'm not a chocolate fan. I'm more like if I eat sugar, I'm more like flavors sugar, like water ice, Skittles, Mike and Ike's, all those different colors. That kind of sugar. That's the kind of sugar that I enjoy if I consume it. But I haven't been eating any kind of sugars, cookies, cakes, none of that for like 3 weeks. Someone said they've known about Jay-Z for years, so why is it coming out now? Because Puff Daddy is incarcerated right now. So he's in a vulnerable position. So now everybody jumps in. That's what they do to everybody, Kathy. This ain't new. This is not a new thing. Then when someone gets caught in legal hot water, then everybody else jumps in. They did it to Bill Cosby. They did it to the guy from Romania with the bald head, whose name I can't say on here. They did it to Trump. They're doing it to Puff Daddy right now. They've done it to a whole bunch of people. As soon as you get in legal hot water and you look vulnerable, then everybody starts coming forward and accusing you of stuff. They did it to Russell Simmons. They do it to everybody. This is not new. Jay-Z is just next in line. Solon said, are you saying that entertainers should not have a public opinion about politics? So Solon, your question there is a straw man question. You use the tell called so are you saying? You are rephrasing what I said into something that I didn't say. But to answer your question, anybody can have an opinion on anything that they want. I can have an opinion on soccer, even though I've never played a game of soccer in my life. I can have an opinion. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. What I'm saying is a entertainer should not be getting on a stage in front of an audience and telling people how they should think about politics, because an entertainer did not become known. They did not get their platform based on being in politics. They got their platform based on entertaining. Therefore, if they're going to get in front of an audience and tell people how to think or what to do, it should be based on something in which they have some actual expertise. Politics is not that. So if you're a rapper, I don't want to hear you talk about politics. Even though you may have an opinion, you are entitled to it. You shouldn't be broadcasting it, because who the fuck cares what you think about politics when you ain't no politician, nor do you work in politics. Now, if you are adjacent in some way, then I'll listen. Like if Jay-Z wants to talk about how to build a marketing company, I will listen, because Jay-Z has a marketing company. He's known for rapping, but he has a marketing company. I'll listen. You understand? So if I wanted to talk to you about writing a book, you should listen, because I've written books. If I want to talk about playing basketball for a living, you should listen, because I've done it. It should be something that's tangential to my areas of expertise. But if I want to talk about how to run an orchestra, you shouldn't listen to me, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. And just because I'm famous for something over here does not mean you should listen to me on a subject over there. That's where we go wrong. Where we go wrong with entertainers is that we assume, they call this the halo effect, that when you're famous for one thing, people assume that you have expertise in everything. And it works on people. That's the reason why entertainers get hired to do commercials. It's the reason why the Foreman grill sold. George Foreman was a famous boxer. What does he know about selling? What does he know about cooking food? We don't know. But the Foreman grill worked. This is the reason why you see entertainers doing commercials for products that they have nothing to do with. You see Shaq selling insurance because of the halo effect. When you're known in one subject, people tend to ascribe knowledge and expertise to any subject just because you are who you are. So I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It does work. I'm saying that many of you need to be aware of it so it doesn't work on you. O-Dog said, Jay-Z dropped his statement and people said, we don't believe you, need more people. Yeah. Question is, why are minors even around these people? Well, O-Dog, first of all, we got to find out if that actually happened. All right. So I get what you're saying. If they are, that's not good, but we got to find out if it did happen. Someone said that I vote for Kamala. So I did a whole live on who to vote for. And the answer is vote for yourself. That was my answer. So no, I didn't vote for Kamala. Sugar, appreciate you. Pippin said, do I think Candace Owens is a propagandist? Well, I already addressed that. And generally, no, I don't. I don't think she's a propagandist. But again, depending on how you're defining the word, everybody's a propagandist. You could take one of the clips from this video when I put it out later and say, well, Dre, that's a propaganda because you only said this part, but you didn't say this part. Well, again, I need 2 hours to tell you everything. Anything taken out of context is propaganda. So when someone posts a clip on social media of a 2-hour video and they give you a 90-second clip, that clip is propaganda because they're not giving you the rest of the context. So everything is propaganda if you want to be technical. So no, Candace Owens is not a propagandist because when she goes into full context mode, she digs in. She does investigative journalism is what she does. And she did a whole lot of it on Kamala Harris. She did a whole lot of it on BLM. She does it. She has a YouTube channel where she puts out like a 40-minute video every day. Listen to the whole episode and then tell me if it's propaganda. And if so, on what subject? I'm open to hearing what it is. So this is where I'm at. What are my books about? Mostly they are about personal and professional development, Candy. So things like mindset, entrepreneurship, building a business, just personal success, discipline, confidence, mental toughness. Those are the things that I generally help people with in my business. That's what I do for a living. And the way that I break those down are the same way that I break down things like this. So if you like this, come to workonyourgameuniversity.com is the link in my bio on whatever app you're watching me on right now. You can learn more about working with me. John said, Candace Owens is very intelligent. Very intelligent. Yes, I believe that she is. She is very intelligent. And Candace Owens is good with breaking things down verbally. You have to be if you're going to be in this space. You're going to get in this space, you must be really good with your words. You got to be very precise in your language. Candace Owens is a good example of that. She's very precise. Someone said we should ask Judge Joe Brown. Noah, he might have an answer to that. That's a good question. Yes, Judge Joe Brown would be a good person. Kendra was talking about Beyonce's age when she met Drake. Oh, all right. Beyonce was 15? I didn't know that. Oh, I had never heard that. I heard that she was maybe 17 or 18. I didn't hear 15. Okay. A couple more questions, folks. Then we got to go. I told you I want to go past 10 o'clock. So there's a lot of comments here today. So anyway, let me tell you all everything here. First of all, shout out to Brittany, my moderator, who has been moderating these comments. Everybody show appreciation to Brittany for moderating these comments. I think her name says Brit B02. So thank you, Brittany. I do these lives Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern is when I do these lives Monday through Friday. Tomorrow, I think we might talk about this taxing the rich thing. We did the Jay-Z thing here today, barring any unforeseen circumstances, because usually on these lives, folks, I do current events. So whatever is a current event. So if something happens today, then I might talk about it tomorrow. But if nothing that I want to talk about happens today, then tomorrow I'll do this whole concept of taxing the rich and what I think about it and what it means for any of you, whether you are rich or not, whether you plan to be rich or not. Tomorrow, that's the planned topic, but it might change. It's subject to change because, again, this is usually current event. So if a current event happens that bumps that one off the schedule, then we'll bump it and we'll talk about something else. And sorry, I didn't even get to all the comments here because there were so many of them that came through. Someone said, where are these books? What my books? You can get them on. I have websites for damn near every book that I got. So Jenna said, taxing the rich, what's considered rich? I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm glad you asked. Ask me that question tomorrow when I do the live. So tomorrow, that's what we're going to talk about. Again, barring any unforeseen circumstances, any news popping off between today and tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow is when I'll be live. I'm live on YouTube, Rumble, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if most of you are watching me in one place, I'm on all these platforms. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. Those links are both on my TikTok. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. If you want to work with me directly and have me as your coach, get access to all of our courses, programs. We got 40 plus programs in our university and a whole lot more coming. That's all at WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Appreciate everybody here. As usual, after sitting here for 2 hours, I got to go to the bathroom. Everybody have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow. We out.